Welcome to In Conversation with MANWAR podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Do Not Be a Bystander campaign. You can join us in raising awareness about bullying by visiting the donotbeabystander.com, and be sure to subscribe to our channel to stay informed about upcoming episodes. Today's participants are Shanza, Afza, and Faiza. Our special guest for today's episode is April St. Martin.
I'm your host, Manwar Khan. Today, I'm joined by three young individuals who are ready to share their thoughts and insights on the topic of respect. They all have the same goal, and the goal is eliminating bullying in schools and communities. And the respect, that word is very much related to that topic, bullying. These young individuals are very passionate and they're willing to empower others. Today's participants are Shanza, Afsa, and Faiza. Thank you, Shanza.
Hi.
Thank you guys for joining today. Before we continue, I would like to introduce our special guest for today's podcast, April. April will shed some lights on this topic today. End of the question period. I would want to talk a little bit about April here. She was born and raised in Edmonton. She enjoys personal development and lives within purpose, intention, and integrity. April loves spending time with friends and family, and she loves music. She believes in self love and personal growth and spirituality. Thank you so much, April, for joining us today. I know how busy you are, and you making time for us in such short notice. That makes a lot. That means a lot for us. All right. Uh, any questions before jump into the questions?
No.
Okay. All right. Now that we have introduced our participants and guests, let's start it with our questions. Respect is a crucial for our interaction with others for several reasons. So my first questions goes for Absa. How would you define respect? And why do you think respect is important in our interaction with others?
Okay, so I would like to say that respect is to basically accept people for who they are, and it's a way of treating people in with a good manner, like treating someone with kindness. And it is important because we want respect, and in order for people to show us respect, we must respect them. It goes both ways. Respect goes showing respect to others earns a good image of us in their head. And it is important in a conversation because it builds feeling of trust, safety, and well-being.
Excellent. Great answer. Thank you so much, Afza. Um, and by respecting others, this is a common rule. Respecting others, we can contribute a more pleasant and inclusive environment. So, anyway, my next question is for Faiza. Disrespecting others can have various negative consequences, both for individuals involved and the wider social context. So, my question for Faiza is, what are some consequences of disrespecting others?
Well, respect is something that goes both ways. If we are disrespectful to others, they will lose all the respect they have for us. Because what we give comes back to us. And the people being disrespected, they may experience shame, fear, anger, and may start doubting themselves. It may also lead them to have health issues such as insomnia, hypertension, or anxiety.
Right. So we need to consider those things, right?
Yeah.
It can have a huge impact on someone's personal life,
Yeah.
right? It might
Yes.
be nothing to disrespect. It's very easy to disrespect someone, but it might be very tough for that person to take it. Sometimes they internalize it, and they don't talk about it, and that what you just mentioned, depression and other things can cause for this reason. So it is very important for us to make sure that we respect our friends, each other's, and even strangers. All right, excellent, great answer, Faiza. My next question is for Shanza. How can we handle disagreements or conflicts in a respectful manner? That is the point.
Yeah, so I think we should handle disagreement and conflict in respectful manner by being calm, listening to the bully actively, analyzing the conflict, and we shouldn't make it personal. And we should avoid putting down other people's idea or opinion. And we also should, clarify what the source of conflict actually is, basically investigating the situation and all. And we should not avoid it. It's the most important part. You should not fight because of the conflict, but like you should talk about it. You just sit down somewhere and just privately talk about it. So we should not avoid it. That's the most important thing.
Exactly, and I totally agree with you. Is uh, um, Sometimes, I mean, most of the problems can be resolved by talking. And
Yeah.
when it comes to disrespect, some people doesn't even know that he or she is disrespecting others. Maybe it's
Yeah.
the this is how he or she grew up seeing this thing, or this is things he or she thinks this is the norm, this is how I talk. But if someone educate them and create that awareness, then that can help that person. And you also, I agree with you also that we also look for the root cause. Why this person is disrespecting others or me? Is it something to do with me, or it is something that I can help her or him to get rid of, or to change his or her mind, right? So yes, the disrespect, handling disrespect uh, needs to be done definitely in a respectful manner.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I
Thank you.
would like to add one
Yes,
more thing. Yeah, it's about like, when two people are having a fight, one can say many hurtful things to other in anger. So I also think that they should, control their anger a bit and all. I would like to add this up.
true. At the same time, I want to add one more thing here, that if somebody says something and you know that she is angry and she said something, sometimes maybe not taking it personally, step back and don't respond. Uh,
Yeah.
and when everything comes down, then talk to that person. Say, you know what you just said, I feel disrespected, and this is, I don't think that was right. What do you think today about this? Not at the heat of the
Sorry,
moment, right?
sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you repeat it?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, no, what I was saying is, sometimes when you um, uh, when someone disrespect you, you maybe not reacting right away. Instead, you step back and you wait for a proper time when everything comes down, and then you talk to that person, and then just say that, okay, you know what, that day we had this conversation, and do you think that was right? So, I mean, the timing matters sometimes, right? And if you personally know that person, that okay, he or she is not that. Can you hear me? All right. So yeah, I mean, basically, what I'm saying is I totally agree with you, Shanze. That was a great answer. Excellent. So with the completion of this questioning, you are welcome. Question. I We just completed the questioning. Now we will move on to our final segment of this podcast, and which is I would like to invite our special guest April to share her thoughts on respects and give some advice to our participants and viewers.
Okay, so I've listened to everything that you've said, and I completely agree. Um, exactly. When it comes to respect, it goes both ways, and I completely agree with that. And whether that having respect for your peers or your teachers, your parents, and as Manwar had mentioned, even strangers. When things do get um, out of control or feel a little bit heavy or messy with others, and you feel a lack of respect, I believe it's best to take a step back, take that moment to cool down, always have the time to be able to talk calmly in a respectful manner. Make sure that you're heard and the other person involved is heard, because sometimes I feel that we make up stories in our mind, and until those things are resolved and basically met in the middle, one person might be thinking something that is completely off of what that other person is thinking. So try to not personalize that, because whatever that person may be going through in their life, we don't know. So it's best to have that conversation, and like I said, just to resolve the conflict in a calm, cool manner. And I'm hoping that in life for everybody, that sometimes it's not that easy, but would like it to go in a nice, smooth, calm manner. So I think the best thing going forward with any of these type of situations is to have that waiting point, to not just unleash and overreact in the heat of the moment, because that's when things can get a little bit out of hand. And yeah, of course, just not to interrupt while that other person is speaking, and make sure that they're heard and you're heard, and hopefully the conflict can be resolved.
Excellent. Thank you, April, for your insights. Do you guys have any questions for April?
No, thank you. Thank you for your great advice.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're
I would
welcome.
I would
Excellent.
just like to say your views match with mine, and I really like it and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, we have come to the end of the podcast. I would like to thank our participants, Shanza, Afza, and Faiza. I also want to thank today's guest, April, for taking your time out of your busy schedule for us and join this podcast, inspiring our participants and viewers. Thank you so
Thank
much. You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast today, my listeners. Um, Before we wrap up, I would like to remind that there are several resources available to help individuals dealing with bullying. Government of Alberta has a bullying helpline which provides support and advise those experience bullying, and that can be reached at 1-888-456-2323. Bullying is a violation of human rights. Under no circumstances bullying is acceptable. As a community, we have shared responsibility to take a stand against bullying and refuse to be a bystander. Thank you for joining in conversation with Manwar Khan, and we will see you next week.